The sky above Neo Lahore was dark and heavy with smoke. Old buildings stood like tired giants, their walls cracked and full of dust. The streetlights flickered. Broken signs buzzed in silence. Somewhere deep in the lower city, inside a small apartment built with rusted steel and broken dreams, Rian waited. He was a young man in his mid-20s, wearing a dusty jacket and old boots. His hands were rough from work, but his eyes were calm and kind. He had spent all day fixing energy converters in the industrial zone. Now he had cleaned up, made some cheap food, and set the lights low. He was waiting for her, Alina. Rian looked at the time. She was never late. Maybe she was stuck in the upper sectors, or maybe the transport trains were delayed again. He sat by the window, watching the lights of the floating city above him, Sealess Prime. The rich lived there, in glass towers above the clouds. Down here people fought over clean water. Then the door opened. Alina stepped in quietly. She was a young, beautiful woman with long black hair tied in a loose braid. Her eyes were deep, thoughtful, and filled with something unusual: pain, maybe fear. She had a soft, natural beauty, something real in a world full of synthetic faces. Rian smiled, walking to her. "You're here," he said. "I thought maybe the trains. We need to talk," Alina said. Rian stopped. Her voice was cold, her eyes not meeting his. He felt something sink in his chest. He had heard those words before, and they never ended well. "What's wrong?" he asked gently. "Did something happen?" She looked around the room, then walked to the table and placed a small bag there. "I can't do this anymore, Rian. It's over." For a moment, he didn't understand. "Over? What do you mean?" "I'm leaving," she said. "I'm not coming back." Rian took a step closer. "Alina, talk to me. Is someone forcing you? Did someone say something?" She shook her head. "No one said anything. I just realized we're from two different worlds. That never mattered to you before. It matters now." Rian's voice grew softer. "Alina, I don't have much, I know, but I love you." "You said that was enough." She finally looked at him. Her eyes were shining, but not with happiness. She looked like someone carrying a heavy secret. "You don't understand," she said. "You can't understand. Then explain it to me." "I can't." He reached for her hand, but she stepped back. The space between them felt like a wall. "I'm sorry," she said, "but this is goodbye." She turned, walked out the door, and didn't look back. Rian stood there for a long time, staring at the door. The silence felt loud. The food on the table grew cold. His heart felt heavier than ever before. For days after, he didn't go to work. His friends tried to check on him, but he just nodded and said he was fine. But he wasn't. He kept thinking about her words, her face, and the strange sadness in her eyes. Why did she look so afraid? One evening, Rian walked through the old rail yard near the industrial zone. It was quiet. No one came here anymore. He needed to clear his mind. As he passed an old broken shuttle pod, something caught his attention. A faint light blinked from inside a panel. Curious, Rian stepped closer and opened the rusted door. Inside, he found an old communication terminal still active. It was strange. These systems were shut down years ago. He knelt beside it and checked the controls. One signal stood out. It was encrypted and marked Private V E121 VV. Rian whispered, "That's not from here." He copied the signal data onto his portable drive and left quickly. Something felt wrong, but he couldn't stop now. His curiosity was stronger than his fear. Back at his apartment, Rian decoded part of the message. Most of it was scrambled, but he found a name inside one hidden folder. Alina Veller. His hands froze. Veller? He had heard that name before. Veller Industries, one of the most powerful corporations in the solar system, owned by a man who vanished years ago after a scandal in Sealess Prime. Rian stared at the screen. Was it a coincidence? Or was Alina hiding something bigger than he ever imagined? Later that night, a shadow moved outside his window. Rian noticed it just in time. He ducked as a silent dart shot through the glass and hit the wall. His heart pounded. Someone was trying to take him out. But why? He grabbed the drive and rushed into the alleyways, escaping into the maze of the lower city. As he ran, one thought echoed in his mind. Alina didn't leave because he was poor. She left because of something else. Something dangerous. And now, whatever it was coming for him too. Rian ran through the lower alleys of Neo-Lahore, holding the data drive tight in his hand. His breath was heavy. He didn't know who was chasing him, but he knew they were serious. The dart through his window was no warning. It was meant to silence him. He hid behind a broken vent system and waited. The streets were quiet now, but the fear still burned in his chest. Why would someone attack him over a signal? And what did the name Alina Wheeler really mean? The next morning, Rian didn't go home. Instead, he walked to the undermarket, a hidden space beneath the city where old tech, black market tools, and forgotten machines were sold. It was full of strange faces, shady deals, and secret trades. There, he met an old contact, Tomo, a tech smuggler with mechanical arms and eyes that glowed faint blue. "You look like a ghost." "Kid," Tomo said, sitting on a bench made of scrap metal. "I need help decoding a file," Rian replied. "It's encrypted, corporate level." Tomo raised an eyebrow. "Corporate? You sure you want to mess with that?" "I don't have a choice." Tomo sighed and motioned him to follow. Inside a small steel shack filled with monitors and wires, Rian plugged in the data drive. Tomo stared at the screen. His expression slowly changed from curious to serious. "This encryption. This is top grade. Not just any corp. This is Wheeler protocol." "I knew it," Rian said quietly. "She's connected." "Who?" Tomo asked. "Alina. My friend." Tomo looked at him closely. "Then you're in trouble." Wheeler disappeared. For a reason. No one touches that name anymore. Why? Because he knew something the corporations wanted hidden. He vanished before they could take him out. But rumors say he had a daughter. Rian's heart skipped. What kind of rumors? That she was sent to Earth, hidden, protected. Rian sat in silence. The truth was becoming clear. Alina wasn't just a kind, quiet girl from the lower zones. She was the daughter of a missing billionaire. And now, people were trying to erase that secret forever. Tomo leaned back. "Listen, Rian, if this file got you almost killed, it means you're part of something big now. Bigger than both of us. I didn't ask for this. No one does." Suddenly, the shack's alarm blinked red. "Incoming," Tomo said. Outside, heavy boots hit the ground. Rian peeked through the window. 4 armored men were scanning the area. "They followed me," Rian said. Tomo opened a hidden trapdoor. "Down here, go." Rian climbed down into a tunnel filled with steam and wires. Tomo handed him a card. "This is a pass for Celis Prime. Don't ask where I got it. Get to the upper city. You won't survive here anymore." "What about you?" "I'll hold them. Just go." With one final nod, Rian ran into the darkness. The pass worked out by evening. Rian was sitting inside a dusty transport shuttle heading up to Celis Prime, the giant floating city above Earth. It was a place he had only seen from the ground: clean towers, flying vehicles, and endless lights. The rich lived in the sky while the poor struggled below. As the shuttle moved upward, he stared at the Earth fading below him. He wasn't just leaving home, he was stepping into the world of secrets, power, and danger. When the shuttle docked, a voice spoke over the speaker. "Welcome to Celis Prime. Please remain in your seat until scanning is complete." Rian held his breath as red lights scanned the passengers. His pass cleared. He stepped out onto a shining walkway, surrounded by glass walls showing the stars beyond. It felt like another planet. He moved carefully. avoiding the guards and camera drones. He knew he didn't belong here. He walked into a public data library and sat at a private console. Plugging in the drive again, he began searching for more clues. This time, the data opened a new file 1 that made his hand shake. Project Origin. VE121 name, Alina Veller status, hidden asset location, Earth Sector 7. Disguise Level 3 mission. Unknown. There was also a photo. It was her. Younger, dressed in formal clothes, standing beside a tall man with sharp eyes. Mr. Veller himself. It was real. She was his daughter. Before he could read more, a cold voice came from behind. "You shouldn't be here." Rian turned. A man in a dark suit stood at the entrance. His eyes were mechanical, glowing yellow. Behind him, 2 guards waited. "Come with us," the man said. Rian bolted out the side door. He ran through the shining streets, passing tall statues, quiet parks, and floating taxis. He didn't know where he was going, only that he had to stay free. At last, he slipped into a hidden corner under a bridge. Catching his breath, he looked up and froze. Alina was standing there. She looked different, stronger. Her hair was pulled back neatly, her clothes clean and elegant, but her eyes still soft, still sad. "Rian," she whispered. "You lied to me," he said, stepping back. "You said nothing, you just left. I had to." "You're Veller's daughter." She nodded slowly. "Yes." Rian felt like the world had flipped upside down. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because if you knew, they'd come for you." "And they did." He looked at her. "Why now? Why show yourself?" "Because it's too late to hide," she said. "They know about you. You're in this now, whether you want it or not." Rian clenched his fists. "Then tell me everything. No more secrets." Alina looked away. "Meet me tomorrow night. Garden Level 14. I'll tell you everything." Then she disappeared into the shadows, leaving Rian alone under the glass sky. Rian didn't sleep that night. He stayed in a small corner under the sky bridge, hiding from cameras and patrol drones. His mind was full of questions. Alina was the daughter of a billionaire, and she had been hiding right beside him all this time. She said it was to protect him, but now the danger had found him anyway. By morning, he cleaned himself up using water from a public terminal. His clothes were still dusty from the lower zones. He looked out of place here, but he didn't care. He just needed answers. The day passed slowly. He stayed hidden until evening, waiting for the time Alina had told him. Garden Level 14. When the sun dipped behind the towers, Rian climbed into one of the service lifts using the stolen pass Tomo gave him. It took him through the clean glass levels of Celis Prime. The air smelled sweet up here. Music played softly through hidden speakers. The rich walked around with perfect faces, never looking down. Rian stepped out on Garden Level 14. It was a quiet space filled with green plants, glowing flowers, and soft lights. The ceiling above showed stars in real time, almost like looking at space itself. Alina was already there. She stood near a tall tree, dressed in a plain gray coat. She looked at him the moment he arrived. "You came," she said softly. "I need the truth," Rian replied. Alina nodded and sat on a bench. Rian joined her. "I wasn't always in the lower city," she began. "When I was small, I lived up here in Celis Prime. My father, Mr. Veller, built half of this city. He believed in giving power to people, not just corporations. But the other leaders didn't like that. They planned to remove him." "Remove?" Rian asked. "They called it an accident. A shuttle explosion. But he survived. Barely. He disappeared, and I was hidden on Earth, in Sector 7. That's when I met you." "You didn't know who you were?" Rian asked. "I did," she said. "But I hoped I could forget. I wanted a normal life." Rian looked at her. "Then why did you leave me?" "Because my father returned 2 months ago. The people who tried to kill him are still in power. Now they want to use me to control him. If they knew I was with you, they'd use you too. Rian stayed silent for a moment. They already tried. She looked down. I know. Rian clenched his fists. So what now? What does your father want? He's planning something, Alina whispered. Something big. He wants to take down the corporate alliance and expose the truth. But he can't do it alone. You're helping him? I have to, she said. I never wanted to go back to this world. But I can't let them keep controlling everything. Rian looked into her eyes. Then I'll help too. Alina stared at him. No, Rian. You've already risked enough. I don't care. I loved you. I still do. And I'm not walking away again. A small smile touched her lips. It was soft, full of old memories. You haven't changed, she said. But I've grown, he replied. They stood in silence, the stars shining above them. Then Alina handed him a small metal card. This will get you into a secret place below the energy tower. My father left something there, proof of what they did to him. But you have to be careful. They watch everything. Rian nodded. I'll find it. The next morning, Rian put on a disguise, a cleaner's uniform he found near the public laundry zone. With the access card Alina gave him, he entered the energy tower, a massive structure that powered most of Celis Prime. Inside, everything was spotless and bright. Security bots floated quietly, scanning workers. Rian kept his head down and moved to the lower levels. He found a hidden door behind a wall panel and used the card. The door slid open with a quiet hiss. Inside was a cold chamber filled with storage pods. At the center stood a terminal glowing green. Rian approached it carefully and touched the screen. A video played. It showed Mr. Wheeler alive, older, with scars on his face. He looked into the camera. If you are watching this, then my daughter has trusted you. I am not dead. The shuttle attack was planned by the High Council of the Alliance. They control everything, media, energy, transport, even law. I escaped and went into hiding. But now the time has come to reveal the truth. Inside this terminal is a full record of their crimes, contracts, messages, and plans. The screen flashed, then opened files, names, locations, secret meetings, even a plan to control the Earth's water supply. Rian copied everything to a portable drive. Then he heard footsteps. He turned. A guard had entered the room. Hey, what are you doing here? The man shouted. Rian ran. The guard chased him through the halls. Rian pushed through cleaning carts, jumped over railings, and ducked under gates. He reached the exit door and slammed it open. He kept running, heart pounding, until he disappeared into the shadows of the city. That night, he met Alina again. I have the files, he said, breathing hard. Everything your father recorded. Names, plans, all of it. Her eyes lit up. You did it. They saw me, he added. They know someone's digging. Then we move now, Alina said. My father's ready. The people are waiting. They just need the truth. She looked at Rian, her voice soft. You didn't have to do this. I know, Rian replied. But I wanted to, for you, for all of us. The air in Celis Prime had changed. Everything looked normal from the outside, people walking, drones flying, soft music in the streets. But under the surface, something was shifting. Whispers had begun to spread. Someone had broken into the energy tower. Someone had stolen Forbidden's files. And that someone was Rian stayed in a hidden supply room deep below the transit rail lines. The room was cold and dusty, but it kept him safe for now. He checked the files again on the drive. The evidence was real. Clear. The corporate alliance had controlled everything for decades. They had lied, stolen, and destroyed anything that stood in their way. And now he and Alina had the proof. Alina met him the next evening in an abandoned sky garden. She wore a dark coat and a cap pulled low to hide her face. They're searching for you everywhere, she said. They almost caught me, Rian replied. But I made it out, she nodded. My father's team is preparing. They're ready to release the files to the public. But there's a problem. Rian looked at her. What kind of problem? They've captured someone, she said, her voice shaking. They caught one of my father's old contacts. He had connections in the media system. Without him, we can't upload the files into the main broadcast line. Rian stood quietly for a moment. Where is he? In a military base. Sector 5 Command Tower, near the Council Zone. That place is locked down, Rian said. We'll never get in. Alina looked up. I can. Rian blinked. What? She took a deep breath. They still think I'm loyal. My father told me never to use the name Wheeler again, but I've decided. I'll use it. Rian understood what she meant. She was going to pretend to work for them, to go inside as if she had returned to the Alliance. They'll believe you? Yes, she said. I know what they want. They want to use me to reach my father. I'll give them just enough to let me in. Then I'll find the prisoner and send you the location, Rian frowned. It's too risky. So is doing nothing. He looked at her, then nodded slowly. I'll be waiting. The next day, Alina stood before the tall black gates of Command Tower. Security bots scanned her face. The guards stepped back. A man in silver armor approached. He had sharp eyes, gray hair, and a deep scar on his jaw. Commander Thorne. Well, he said. The lost daughter returns. I came to talk, Alina replied. About my father, Thorne smiled. Come inside. For the next few hours, Alina walked through the halls of power she once knew. Everything was sharp, cold, and quiet. Thorne led her to a glass room at the top. Why now? He asked. My father has returned, she said. But I'm not here to help him. I'm here to survive. Thorne laughed. Smart choice. She watched his face. He was pretending to trust her. But behind his eyes, she saw doubt. He handed her a glass of clear liquid. You're home now. She sipped carefully and smiled. Then show me what I've missed. Back in the lower levels of Celis Prime, Rian waited near a service access point. His communicator buzzed. It was a signal from Alina, Sector 5. Cell Block 9, he moved quickly, using the same stolen pass Tomo had given him. He passed through vents, climbed elevator shafts, and avoided cameras. Finally, he reached the dark hallway of Cell Block 9. Inside one of the cells, a man lay tied to a chair. His face was bruised, but his eyes were alert. You're from Valor, the man said when Rian opened the door. I'm here to get you out. They moved fast. Rian used the codes Alina gave him to open the emergency door. An old cargo rail connected the prison to the old mining zone. Rian helped the man onto a service cart and activated the route. Behind them, alarms started to ring. At the same time, Commander Thorne stared at a flashing red light on his desk. You've been very helpful, he said to Alina. She looked up. What do you mean? I mean thank you for bringing him to me. Suddenly, a screen lit up. It showed Rian escaping with the prisoner. You knew, Alina whispered. Thorne smiled. Of course. You still care about him. That was easy to use. She stood quickly, but guards stepped in. They grabbed her arms. You said I was safe, she said. Thorne walked closer. You were. Until now. Later that night, Rian and the rescued prisoner reached the hideout where Mr. Wheeler waited. You did well, Wheeler said to Rian. Thank you. I had help, Rian said. From your daughter. Wheeler's face grew hard. Where is she? Rian looked down. She's been captured. Wheeler stood still for a long time. Then he spoke firmly. Then we changed the plan. We move now. Tonight. He turned to his team. Prepare the files. Prepare the broadcast. And prepare for war. Inside a small room in the command tower, Alina sat alone. A camera watched her. Her hands were tied. She knew Thorne wouldn't kill her yet. He needed her as bait. But time was running out. She looked at the wall and whispered, Please, Rian. Hurry. Back at the hideout, Wheeler walked with Rian down a long hallway filled with monitors. I should have never sent her to Earth alone. Wheeler said, You did what you thought was right, Rian replied. I hid from the world for too long. Now it's my turn to act. He handed Rian a small device. This will unlock the central signal tower. Upload the files from there. Once it's done, the people will know everything, and Thorn will have no place to hide. Rian held the device tightly. And Alina? He asked. We save her too, Wheeler said. We're not leaving anyone behind. The sun rose over Celis Prime. It was a new day, but in the shadows of the Sky City, the real fight was just beginning. Rian was no longer just an engineer. He was now a key part of a war that would decide the future of Earth and beyond. The central signal tower of Celis Prime stood like a giant needle piercing the sky. It was the heart of communication across all sectors, Earth and orbit. If someone could upload the truth there, every citizen, worker, and hidden rebel would hear it. Rian stood at the edge of a rooftop, staring at the tower in the distance. Beside him, Mr. Wheeler gave final instructions. You'll go through the maintenance tunnels beneath the tower, Wheeler said. This device, he held up a glowing cube, will connect directly to the core. Once you activate it, the truth will be everywhere. Rian nodded, taking the device carefully. And Alina? We'll get her during the upload. Thorn won't expect both moves at once, but we have little time. Wheeler placed a hand on Rian's shoulder. You've come far, son. I'm proud. Rian didn't answer. His mind was full of fear and hope. He had no weapons, no armor, and no backup. Only courage. Inside the command tower, Alina sat alone in a cold room. A single camera watched her, blinking red. She had been here for 2 days now. No windows, no voices. Only silence and shadows. But she hadn't given up. She believed Rian would come. And she believed her father would fight back. Suddenly, the door opened. Commander Thorn stepped in with 2 guards. Stand, he said. Alina stood slowly. Her hands were still tied, but her eyes were strong. You're going to help me now, Thorn said. Alina frowned. Help you with what? You're going to talk to your father. You'll tell him to surrender. I won't. Thorn smiled. Oh, I think you will. Because if you don't, I'll show the world a different truth, one where Wheeler's daughter betrayed him and joined us. You can lie all you want, she said. People will still see what he left behind. Thorn stepped closer. Maybe they'll see you standing beside me, smiling. Alina's heart burned. She wasn't afraid for herself anymore. She was afraid of what Thorn might do to Rian. Leave him out of this, she whispered. Thorn raised an eyebrow. So you do care? He nodded to a guard, who placed a screen on the table. It showed Rian walking through the lower tunnels of the signal tower. He's braver than I thought, Thorn said. But still, alone. Alina's face paled. No, you can stop this. Call him. Tell him to surrender. She closed her eyes, then opened them slowly. I will, she said. Rian moved through a narrow tunnel, the cube device in his bag. Lights flickered above. The deeper he went, the warmer the walls became. The signal core was close now, then his communicator buzzed. It was Alina. Her face appeared, but something was off. She looked distant. Rian, she said. Alina, are you all right? I'm almost there. No, she said quickly. Turn back. Don't go to the core. It's a trap. Please. Rian stopped walking. What? What do you mean? Just trust me. This isn't the way. You'll get caught. But please, Rian. Then the signal cut off. Rian stood in silence. His heart was racing. That wasn't Alina's voice. Not the one he knew. Something was wrong. He opened the device. A tracker signal had just been activated. Someone knew exactly where he was. It's a setup, he whispered. He turned around and ran, back at the command tower. Thorn smiled as he watched the screens. "He didn't fall for it," said one. "Guard." Thorn's smile faded. "No, he's smarter than I thought." Alina looked away. "You tried to break him," she said. "But you never could." Thorn frowned. "Then I'll just break you instead." Outside the tower, Mr. Wheeler watched from a distance. His small team of rebels moved into position. Each one had a job: cut power, shut off the cameras, and enter. Through the service doors, Wheeler checked his watch. "Rian should be at the core by now," he said. But he wasn't. Rian ran through the emergency path, breathing hard. He knew he couldn't go to the core directly. But he had an idea. There was a second signal point backup node Delta, used only during emergencies. It was small, hidden, and barely guarded. If he could reach it, he could still upload the files. He moved fast, climbing pipes, ducking under laser grids, and sliding down old lift shafts. At last, he reached the node. It was quiet, no guards, no alarms. He placed the cube into the port. The screen lit up, transfer starting. Then, just before completion, a new screen flashed, ERROR. Signal jammed. Rian's eyes widened. Someone had blocked the signal. Then a new message appeared, "Surrender, or she dies." Below it was a live video of Alina, her hands tied, guards beside her. Rian froze. His hands shook. The room was silent, except for the hum of the power cables. His mind screamed, "What do I do?" Suddenly, the screen flickered again. This time, it was Alina, but now she looked real. Her voice was raw. Her eyes locked onto his through the feed. "Rian," she said, "don't stop. No matter what they do to me, the truth must go out." Rian's chest tightened. He looked down at the cube. He looked at her. Then he made his choice. He pulled out his backup tool and rewired the signal. New path unlocked. The screen read. He hit the upload button. The files began to flood into the city's mainframe. Everything. Documents, videos, voice records, secrets of the Alliance, plans, lies, proof of the shuttle attack on Wheeler. Everything. And across Celis Prime, screens lit up. People stopped in the streets, watching. Workers in factories, students in class, guards at stations. All saw the same thing, the truth. Inside the command tower, Thorn's office exploded with alarms. "What is this?" he shouted. His guards checked their panels. He found a second signal point. Alina smiled. "You lost," she said. Thorn's eyes burned with anger. "No," he growled. "Not yet." He reached for his blaster, but the door burst open. Mr. Wheeler and his rebels rushed in. Thorn turned to fire, but Rian was already there. He had followed the chaos, found the way in. He tackled Thorn, knocking the weapon away. Wheeler moved to Alina, cutting her free. "You came," she said. "I always will," he replied. Thorn was captured. The truth was free, and the world had changed. But the war wasn't over. The people had just begun to rise. And Rian, once just a poor engineer, was now part of a fight much bigger than anything he had imagined. The future was coming, and it would never be the same again. The truth was out, across Earth and orbit, from the lowest city streets to the highest space towers. People saw what the Alliance had hidden for years: lies, control, and betrayal. Wheeler's files exposed everything: the shuttle attack, the false peace, the way the Alliance crushed anyone who stood in their way. And most important of all, they saw Commander Thorn standing over Alina with a weapon in hand. That video spread fast. The people didn't need news anchors or officials to explain. They had seen enough. The world changed overnight. In the lower zones of Neo-Lahore, workers stepped out of factories and refused to return. In the orbiting city of Celis Prime, engineers shut down systems. On the moon base, transport pilots grounded every ship with Wheeler's symbol on their arms. They weren't afraid anymore. The revolution had begun. Rian stood with Alina and Wheeler in the central hall of an old hidden command center once used during the First Space War. Now it was their base. Around them, rebels and free citizens gathered. Some wore uniforms, others wore old work clothes. All of them shared one thing: hope. Wheeler walked to the center of the room. He stood tall, calm, and spoke in a strong voice. "They thought we were divided," he said. "They thought fear would keep us silent. But now we rise not for revenge but for justice." Cheers filled the hall. Alina smiled. Rian stood beside her, still amazed at how far things had come. Just weeks ago, he was repairing old machines in a dirty workshop. Now he stood at the center of a movement that could reshape the future. The plan was simple, but dangerous. 3 major alliance hubs still had control over energy, air traffic, and water systems. If they weren't taken back, the alliance could use them to starve or isolate cities. Wheeler split the teams. Rian was assigned to the air control center near the edge of Celis Prime. "You know systems better than anyone," Wheeler told him. "You'll go with Alina. She knows the layout. We need that hub offline." Rian nodded. "We'll do it." He looked at Alina. She gave a quick nod back. They were ready. The mission began at night. Rian, Alina, and a small rebel team reached the air control tower using service tunnels. The tower looked like a silver claw hanging off the edge of the floating city. It controlled all air traffic, drones, and defense cannons. They moved quietly, disabling guards and scanning door panels. Alina led the way. She had memorized the path long ago. Inside, they reached the control room. Rian started working on the main system. The codes were complex, and he had to be fast. Then alarms rang out. Someone triggered a motion sensor. One rebel shouted, "Hold them back." Alina said, "Give Rian time." Gunfire echoed in the halls. Rian's hands moved fast. He bypassed locks, decoded passwords, and finally, the screen flashed green. "Control override. Success." He turned to Alina. "Done," she smiled, but then froze. A sharp voice called from behind, "Drop your weapons." They turned to see Commander Thorn, bruised but standing, with a small squad of loyal guards. "I escaped once," Thorn said. "I'll do it again, but first, I'm ending this rebellion." His blaster pointed at Alina, but Rian stepped in front of her. "Do it," Rian said. "Shoot me." Thorn's eyes narrowed. "You're just a poor fool from the dirt. You think this changes anything?" "No," Rian said. "I know it does." Suddenly, a blast of light hit Thorn from the side. He fell hard. Behind him stood Wheeler, holding a stun weapon. "You always talk too much," Wheeler said coldly. Alina rushed to her father. "How did you get here? I couldn't let you two face this alone." With Thorn captured again and the air control center disabled, the Alliance's reach began to collapse. By morning, news from all sectors poured in. 2 other hubs had also fallen, one taken by rebel pilots on the moon, the other turned over by workers who refused to obey. The corporate alliance had no more control. No more secrets. Rian stood on the balcony of the tower, looking down at the world below. Smoke rose in the distance, but so did flags, new ones. Flags made by the people. Handmade. Simple, but powerful. Alina walked up beside him. "You didn't run," she said. "You didn't either," he replied. They stood silently for a moment. "I'm not the same person I was when I met you," Rian said. "I thought I was just a nobody. But now, I feel like I finally matter." "You always did," Alina said. He looked at her. "So what happens now?" She smiled. "We rebuild." Later that day, Wheeler made a final public speech. "This is not a victory for me," he said. "This is a victory for every worker, every student, every soul who dared to hope. Power belongs to the people. And now we return it." He announced a new council formed by citizens, not corporations. Open seats. Free votes. Real change. People cheered. As the sun set, Rian walked alone through the halls of the tower. Everything had changed. The fight was nearly over. The alliance was broken. The people had won, but deep inside, he knew the journey wasn't done. Winning peace was one thing, keeping it would be another. Still, he had something now that he never had before, a voice, a purpose, and someone beside him who believed in him. Night, Alina found him sitting on the rooftop. Thinking again? She asked. A little, he smiled. She sat next to him. You know, you shocked me. How? You were never rich. You had no power. And still, you became the key to everything. He laughed softly. Guess being poor wasn't the worst thing after all. She leaned her head on his shoulder. No, she whispered. It made you stronger. The sun rose slowly over the floating city of Sealess Prime. Light touched every rooftop and every window. After many years of fear, silence, and control, the world finally felt free. Rian stood at the top of the rebuilt air tower. He looked down. At the city below, people were walking without fear. Flags of the new Citizen Council flew proudly. Shops had reopened. Children played in the streets. It was not perfect, but it was peaceful. He had never imagined this. A poor engineer from a ruined city, once forgotten by the world, now stood at the center of history. Inside the tower, Wheeler spoke with members of the new Earth Orbit Council. They were teachers, doctors, builders, farmers, and workers. No more business lords. No more secret leaders. The council's job was simple: protect the people and keep the peace. Wheeler looked tired but happy. He had paid a price to bring down the alliance. But now he could finally rest, knowing his daughter and her generation would build something better. Alina entered the room with a datapad in her hand. She had chosen not to take any official seat in the council. I want to help, she said, but not as a leader. As a bridge between Earth and the sky. She worked day and night to connect old communities, clean the poisoned lakes, and open schools in forgotten cities. She didn't wear fancy clothes or use her father's name. She was simply Alina, the same girl who once walked the broken streets with Rian. Later that evening, Rian sat in a garden near the city's edge. It was quiet, filled with fresh plants and clean air. Birds, once gone, had returned. Alina joined him with 2 mugs of warm tea. Hard to believe, isn't it? She asked. Rian nodded. A few months ago, I was being chased by drones. Now I'm drinking tea in a garden. They laughed. She looked at him kindly. You've changed. I had to, he said. I couldn't just fix machines anymore. I had to fix people's faith. Alina looked into the distance. Do you think it will last? Yes, he said, after thinking. Because this time, the people are watching, and they know what lies look like. In the following weeks, rebuilding moved faster than anyone expected. Food centers opened in every district. Water was clean again. Power lines ran without interruption. People volunteered, young and old. They cleaned, planted, taught, and protected one another. The new law system was built on fairness. Every voice had weight. Voting was open. Information was free. And most important, the military was dissolved. No more secret armies. No more fear. One day, Rian received a message from a group of young engineers in Neo Lahore. They had rebuilt the same old workshop where Rian used to work. They called it the Spark Center. We want to follow your path, the message said. To use machines to help people. To give the poor a future. Rian was touched. He sent back a note with one sentence. You are the future I dreamed of. Weeks turned to months. Rian traveled across Earth and orbit, not as a leader, but as a teacher. He showed students how to repair, build, and invent. He told stories, not about war, but about hope, mistakes, and courage. Alina often joined him. Together, they helped start schools in abandoned colonies, fixed broken satellites, and even repaired an old space station that now served as a hospital. They were no longer running from the past. They were building the future. One night, while flying over Earth in a small shuttle, Rian looked down through the glass. Cities sparkled like stars. Forests had started growing again. Rivers ran clear. He turned to Alina. "I used to think Earth was dying," he said. She smiled. "Now it's waking up." They landed near a quiet valley where Wheeler had chosen to live. The old man spent his time writing and watching the sky. When he saw them, he stood and smiled. "Every day feels like a gift now," he said. "You gave us that gift," Rian said. "No," Wheeler replied. "You and Alina gave it to the people. I only helped." He looked up at the sky. "I will not live forever. But what we started this new dawn, it will." On the 1-year anniversary of the fall of the Alliance, people gathered across the globe and orbit. There were no big parades, no loud speeches, just candles, songs, and memories. In Sila's prime, Rian stood before a crowd of students. "I was once told I had no power," he said, "that I was too poor, too ordinary. But I learned that change doesn't need a perfect hero. It just needs someone brave enough to take the first step." He looked at the faces in front of him. "Each of you is the next step. Keep walking, keep building, and never let fear own your future again."